of this Dave Canales offense and his idea of running the ball more and protecting it more. How do Mike Evans and Chris Godwin fit in with that? And now that you've added a very, very good tight end as a rookie who's going to get on the field with Cade Otton, how do those guys fit in? What happens? This is hypothetical, but what happens if the Bucs come out of the gate here and after a couple of games, like, man, this team scores points, and the opponent never gets the football?
I like. Do you hear Dan's I like Dan's optimism.
He's all in on the running.
It's hard to
loving it.
Well, here's the thing that the Bucs fans are. It just stings from last year is what we saw the same, and nothing changed. It ultimately cost Byron Leftwich's his job. And you could make a case that even Tom Brady down the stretch was at fault trying to make things happen. By the time they got to the playoffs, we saw what we saw in the wild card game. That did not suffice.
The thing that intrigues me about Dave Canales' offense is the idea that he says we need to be prepared to run it every play. But if the game doesn't dictate that being the most effective method to move the ball, then we'll act accordingly. So I like that he's presenting this like, yes, I like the run. I like the ability, like we need to be prepared to do that, but we also understand the offensive weapons we have in the pass catching game. So hearing that from the beginning and just hearing how his mind works about adapting and doing whatever the game calls for, not even like what you game plan for, but being able to adjust it as the game goes on. Like be physical and then know the other weapons that you have.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how Godwin and Evans fit in with Baker Mayfield. Because Mayfield, you're now bringing in, hear me out here, because we've gone through three seasons of Tom Brady.
I love how it starts like that.
Hear me out. I'm going to throw out a name here. And
wow, okay.
Gonna be, please don't email me. We're going kind of back to Jameis Winston times where Jameis was a little bit more mobile than people gave him credit, and he could extend plays in that fashion. Jameis's downfall was his bravado at the end of extending those plays, and he would throw it into an area or to
the other team,
that the other team was going to make the catch only. And Baker Mayfield now comes into play with better mobility than Jameis, and I can see him extending plays. Where do Evans and Godwin fit in with that? Is this going to turn into Baker not improvising, but Baker scrambling more if a play breaks down rather than the pass play proceeding as it was planned, and Baker gaining 8 yards on the ground and having that become an effective option? I'm thinking of Geno Smith and the Seahawks revival and how it fit in with Canales. You know, he wasn't calling the plays, but this was kind of the theme of that he was allowed to extend plays, and if he needed to get him with his feet, that was fine. Tom Brady did not do that. He ran a couple of times, and what did we do? We talked about it for 3 days because it was the craziest thing we've ever seen.
It was like we'd never seen a quarterback run ever.
Even he made fun of it. So that's not what his game was. He would take a lot of sacks that I don't think Baker's going to take. My question is, does Baker chuck the football up there like Jameis did carelessly and turned it into a complete disaster? According to Dave Canales, that is not the philosophy, to just chuck that football.
To that point, can Baker make that throw down the seam to Mike Evans that we saw Brady, attempt to complete multiple times over the course of last season? We all remember the various Mike Evans opportunities, some of them, of course, that were not caught. I think those are the ones that we remember that stick out in our mind. But can Baker make that throw consistently? Is that something that...
I mean, I feel like that's the big question mark. But there were times when Mike Evans even said, like, I caught so many passes or had all those touchdowns in the one game because Brady just is on the money.
Right.
That's like a Hall of Fame quarterback. So I don't know if you even want to get into that territory of trying to compare Tom Brady's abilities to Baker's, but you would hope that Baker would be able to, in moments, complete the throws that were necessary.
Right.